What is this man doing in the United States?
If you've been on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles recently, you've probably seen him dancing. He's the Walk of Fame's newest tenant, a senior citizen wearing a lab coat and saying hi to every single person he can make eye contact with. His name is Dr. Simi. He's a mascot.
And he's one of Mexico's most beloved pop culture icons right now.
Sí, es como parte de nuestra cultura ya. Patrimonio cultural.
For the last 5 years, Mexican fans have thrown Dr. Simi dolls at the likes of Miley Cyrus, Adele, Harry Styles, and Dua Lipa as a sign of appreciation. But he's also a symbol of something else.
Seguridad, economía y salud.
Es como ver al doctor de México, ¿no?
Pues lo ves y literal te alegra el día.
Dr. Simi is the face of not only one of the largest pharmacy chains in Mexico, Farmacias Similares, but a symbol of a medical revolution in the country. Farmacias Similares entered the Mexican market promising medicine that was up to 75% cheaper than the brand name stuff, and quickly grew to more than 9,000 pharmacies in Mexico that also offer doctor consultations for about $3. And in 2025, the company announced it was entering the US market.
Y Farmacias Similares busca seguir evolucionando.
De México nació un personaje que ahora recorre el mundo.
A Latin American icon has made its way to the U.S.
Sus oficinas cooperativas están ubicadas aquí en Austin.
How did Dr. Simi transform the medical industry in Mexico? And can it do the same in the United States?
My name is Fernando, and this story is about the hyphen between Dr. Simi and the United States. If you're still watching, please consider subscribing so I can keep making videos like this one.
Farmacias Similares is known for having lo mismo pero más barato. It's the company's tagline, the same but cheaper, and it refers to generic medicines, or generics, as they're commonly called in the pharmaceutical industry. What are generics? Can you attempt to give us a definition? Corey Hayden is a professor of anthropology at UC Berkeley and the author of the book The Spectacular Generic: Pharmaceuticals and the Simipolitical in Mexico.
The simple version is that generic medicines are copies of drugs that otherwise are marketed under brand names or that were originally approved to be sold on a market as we often call them the patented drugs or the brand name drugs.
Think ibuprofen versus Advil.
So they are lower cost copies of drugs that otherwise were sold as sort of leading brand drugs.
I decided to do this story because last year in September, I saw that Grupo Por Un País Mejor, the parent company behind Dr. Simi, announced it was opening its first US store.
It's called Similandia, and while you'll find vitamins and stuffed Dr. Simi plush toys, you won't find the cornerstone of its business in Mexico: prescription drugs or cheap doctor consultations.
I wanted to know why, but to understand that, we first have to understand Farmacias Similares' history in Mexico. So I spend a lot of time on the internet when working on In The Hyphen videos. Interviewing people, reading research articles, watching documentaries, you get the drill. And that's where the sponsor of this video comes in. Private Internet Access is a VPN, aka virtual private network, that hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. Browsing the internet without an encrypted internet connection is like subscribing to a world news channel, but only receiving local pieces. The best part about private internet access is that it not only protects you, but it lets you access region-restricted content from all over the world. That's crucial when trying to access information from across the globe. Private internet access helps me overcome geo-restrictions by changing my IP address to, say, Mexico, which is one of their 91 countries to choose from. Private internet access is the world's most transparent VPN provider with over 30 million downloads. And for those worried about privacy, like me, they never record or store user data. Private internet access is giving my viewers, aka you, a special offer. Use my link in the description to get an 83% discount on private internet access. That's just $2, 3 cents a month, plus 4 extra months completely free. All right, back to the video.
The story of Farmacias Similares dates back to 1997. Victor Gonzalez Torres grew up working in his dad's pharmaceutical laboratory business that produced generics and sold them exclusively to the government's public health system. In 1997, Victor established his own company, which included pharmacies to sell these medications called Farmacias Similares. The year 1997 was pivotal in Mexico's healthcare industry. That's when the government announced it would allow cheaper generics to be sold outside the public health system and in the private marketplace for the first time.
Until the late 1990s, the drugs that we are calling genéricos or generics right now were primarily the drugs that were being distributed in the Seguro Social. And a lot of people would just call those drugs the drugs you get in the Seguro. You know, it's not a commercial category by any means.
Before 1997, the cheaper generics were only available to people insured through Social Security or the counterpart program for state workers. But the problem was that both of those programs required having formal employment. And at the time, 55 to 59% of Mexico's population did not have jobs that fell under that formal category.
The switch happened under Cedillo in 1997, where he, I think in an effort to try and keep the PRI in power, realized that people were having a very hard time affording drugs if they could not get them in the Seguro Social or if they were not covered by the Seguro Social.
In 1998, Farmacias Similares opened 8 stores. With this new market for generics, Farmacias Similares, as well as competitors like Farmacias del Ahorro and Farmacias Guadalajara, quickly expanded. But Farmacias Similares' expansion was helped by a bold claim emblazoned on its stores: prescription meds up to 75% cheaper. When Farmacias Similares opened, it didn't open with the logo it has today. It was a scale. But Victor wanted a cartoon character that would generate trust.
El encargo de don Víctor era muy preciso. Me dijo, yo quiero un logotipo, un muñeco que dé confianza, que dé tranquilidad, que se ve que sabe mucho, o sea, que sea una persona grande, con canas. Me dijo, pero también quiero que sea picarón y que sea divertido y que tenga esa mezcla.
The winning design, Dr. Simi, was inspired by Don Susanito Suñafiel, a popular character during Mexico's golden era of cinema.
Y la viñeta que se tenía del Dr. Simi, pues se utilizaba para efectos publicitarios simplemente como un agregado, hay una especie de mascota propiamente que se le agregaba.
Dr. Simi would become an extension of Victor's identity, with people referring to him as Dr. Simi. The stores eventually started having a life-sized costume version of Dr. Simi. This character would smile and wave at people as they passed by, sometimes even handing out lollipops to kids.
Entonces eso fue un recurso muy bueno porque la gente identificaba más a las farmacias con la figura amable del Dr. Simi caracterizado a una balanza que no le decía nada.
La marca no se construyó desde la aspiración, sino desde la empatía. Y por ello creo que el Dr. Simi, ¿no? Este brand character que construyeron, no promete lujos, estatus, promete estar ahí. Y eso es lo que al mexicano le interesa más, ¿no?
Juan Manuel Ramírez Belloso is a marketing expert and the director of graduate studies at the Escuela Bancaria y Comercial in Mexico.
Y en un país como lo hemos analizado, donde la salud suele ser costosa, complicada, y además no se tiene una cultura en general del cuidado de la salud, ¿no? La marca se posicionó como una solución posible, real, cotidiana, y eso es lo que tiene su brand character.
And according to Corey Hayden's research, the pharmacy chain has been able to do that through what she calls Victor González Torres' Simipolitics.
He had and continues to have, I suppose, a real knack for not just marketing, but tapping into a kind of political mood and really understanding how to entangle political needs, challenges, discontent, and turning that into a market force. So he styles himself as a political actor and a provider of healthcare for the poor.
Dr. Simi started holding fiestas populares in town squares where mascots would hand out basic pantry items like rice and beans. In the 2000s, when the price of corn shot up, the pharmacies gave customers free tortillas. And in 2005, Victor announced a run for president as an independent write-in candidate, calling himself the candidate for the poor and the sick. He didn't win, but he did get 300,000 votes.
Now, a failed presidential campaign has not stopped the company from establishing social programs in Mexico.
The company partners with Cinia, a company that employs people with disabilities, to make plush toys of its Dr. Simi figure, as well as uniforms and lab coats for Farmacias Similares employees. Its Simi Planeta Foundation funds different ecological projects, and Dr. Simi's Fundación Best program puts doctors in its pharmacies for low-cost consultations.
That low-cost doctor program heavily expanded in 2010. That was the year the Mexican government tightened restrictions on antibiotics.
They could no longer be given without a prescription. This change was made as the country experienced a wave of swine flu. To combat this, pharmacies, including Farmacias Similares, added doctors' offices to their stores.
The thinking, according to Andres Garcia, a Mexican public health expert interviewed by the BBC, was that if we can't prescribe antibiotics without a prescription, then let's have the person who writes that prescription inside our pharmacies.
Then there are the Simi Colonias, a campaign from Fundación del Dr. Simi to beautify and help communities in Mexico. Neighborhoods with poor infrastructure are identified, the communities are given some medical help and basic pantry items, and the homes' roofs are fortified to prevent leaks. The roofs are also painted, but not just with any color. They're painted with Dr. Simi's face. But much of the brand's growth has happened in the last 5 years, and it's largely due to young people. In 2021, Norwegian singer Aurora Aksnes was performing at a music festival in Mexico City when someone threw a Dr. Simi plush at her. Aurora picked it up and hugged it. That set off a trend of Mexican fans all over the world throwing Dr. Simi's at different artists. Adele collected so many of them during her Las Vegas residency that they got their own spread in one of her books.
Este fenómeno cultural muy poderoso de personas regalando un símbolo que representa cariño, que representa humor, representa identidad y representa cercanía, ¿no? Entonces eso, en un término técnico, se llama apropiación cultural positiva.
This has given Dr. Simi good standing with young Mexicans.
Lo interesante es que Farmacias Similares no nació pensando en los jóvenes, ¿no? Pero los jóvenes lo adoptaron. Entonces uno se pregunta, ¿qué pasó aquí? ¿No? O sea, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué el Dr. Simi es auténtico, espontáneo, imperfecto? Y es justo como el lenguaje cultural de esta generación que estamos viendo. Ellos ya se reconocen así, ¿no? Soy espontáneo, soy imperfecto.
So can Dr. Simi recreate the success it's had in Mexico in the United States? Before we answer that question, it's important to understand what the company's presence looks like in the US right now.
The company has its corporate headquarters in Austin, Texas, and one store in the US called Similandia. Two big things you won't find: prescription meds and doctors. What you will see: vitamins and supplements. Lots of Dr. Simi's for purchase, and even a Build-A-Bear-esque workshop experience where you can build your own Dr. Simi.
You will have noticed that in Mexico as well, they really amped up a presence around natural productos naturistas, supplements, vitamins. The margins on those products are so much higher than they are on generic medicines.
The United States also has a different regulatory climate for generics, and it's an environment that's very expensive to navigate.
But the conditions are ripe in the United States for any company that wants to provide low-cost healthcare.
With cuts to Medicaid and Medicaid enrollment right now and everything that's happening in the politics of public health in the current moment, we are going to have many, many millions of people who do not have health coverage.
I reached out to Dr. Simi for comment for this story, but they were not available. Now, what we do know is that there is no public indication that there will be any standalone Farmacias Similares anytime soon.
There's no way Simi can just set up these pharmacies like that in a regulated way. I think that's the key to their partnership with CVS, is that CVS already has this business model in mind.
The company has announced it's partnering with CVS to bring its beauty products, supplements, and plush dolls to some markets, including Las Vegas.
And they will need to partner with, to be parasitical to, some entity that has a regulatory inroad to provision of both consultation and medicines.
The chain's prescription drug prowess remains to be seen, but meds or no meds, can the brand have the same affinity it enjoys in Mexico here in the United States?
Una marca mexicana no triunfa en Estados Unidos por ser mexicana. O sea, podría ser cualquier otra, sino por ser auténtica y culturalmente inteligente. Yo tengo una frase de hace muchos años cuando empecé a estudiar todos estos fenómenos: pégale al corazón para que llegue a la cabeza y baje la cartera.
What do you think? Can Dr. Simi win over American consumers the way it did in Mexico? And can it do so without cheap prescription medications? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, you might also like this other video I made.